All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Koyomimonogatari,
episode 5.
Okay.
All right, so we should be getting into Sengoku stuff next.
Yep.
We went through everything with Sudoga, and it
was wonderful.
It was wonderful. I've missed her. She's like probably
So precious.
like
And
one
perverted.
of my favorite of like the girls in this show. Just
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic.
It has been brought to our attention that yes, Koyomi also means calendar, so that
that's
may
right.
be why there's 12 specific episodes of this one, even if there aren't 12 specific Monogatari girls to revisit. But
Okay,
yeah,
awesome.
that's entirely speculation on my part. But
And in some ways it kind of fits given the kind of the semi-recap nature of a lot of this, so
and
makes sense.
That the show has kind of been, for the most part, sticking to 1 year.
1 year's worth of time of Aragi's life.
Final year in high school. Yeah,
Exactly. So what are we gonna do with Sengoku?
I don't know.
Without further ado, let's get into it. All right, everyone, we're going to be starting the episode in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now.
Wow, yeah, literally manga.
Yeah, it is something kind of cool to look at this and realize, oh, yeah, we know quite a bit more about her character. It was something that I noticed quite a bit when I went back through Bake a bit, like a couple months ago. But yeah.
She's drawing it right now. The way her hair moves, like, I would, it's one of those things where it still feels very similar to the snakes.
Yeah. But that's a no-no. Yeah.
Praying. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Month of leaves. Cool. Popcorn.
You just got here. Gotcha.
Okay. Someone's quite excited about that.
She made herself scarce. Oh. Or specifically because of
what happened. Yeah.
Yes.
Her heart's just going doki doki like crazy right now.
Yes, on my bed.
Yep.
I love that he's got like a party hat on.
Yep. Oh, she's so happy.
Yep. Oh. Wait.
Really? Hmm. I love that room. No source. Even though there has to be a source,
Right.
He's going to apply some kind of a oddity thought to it. Oh, Gain and Hachikuji.
Okay.
This is going to be the movie that they watch, basically. Oh,
Spread like wildfire.
dang. Tsukihi's wisdom is that powerful. Okay.
Sure.
Ho. Kaiki deshu.
Wait. Back here.
Shinobu. Um. Oh.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah, that's a very good point, though. Right. Showing Senjikahara's house.
All right. On another donut already.
Yep.
Okay.
Right. Brilliant. Yes. Quite on the nose. I love that we're getting more Kaiki here.
Yeah.
How enveloped Kaiki?
So what, the fourth donut?
All right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like that one really deviated from the structure that we've gotten thus far.
Because it wasn't about specifically an oddity. It was specifically about how odd human beings are with regards to how much we try to fill in the void with something specifically for...
When we're dissatisfied, yeah.
Specifically for the purpose of satisfaction, yeah.
Well, and also, like... Because I guess we got the conversation with Senjikahara in the previous episode.
Yeah.
But like, this... Sengoku was in this episode... But she only had, like, what, like half the episode or something?
Yeah. And Sengoku's main thing was kind of giving us a little bit of a reinforcement of how kind of oblivious Araragi was with regards to the fact that, you know, Sengoku liked him.
Mm-hmm.
And he was, you know, putting himself into situations that gave her the wrong impression, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. All right, we got our Sengoku episode here, and we got also some Kaiki, which was rather fun.
Yep, Kaiki, and that whole scene where he meets Kaiki at the donut shop with Shinobu is one of my favorite, just like happenstance conversations, you know? Because a lot of the conversations in Monogatari I feel like are specifically built up to, like, this needs to happen, but that was one of those just wonderful little surprises.
Happy little surprises.
Yep.
Yeah.
But this one...
Oh, yeah. Also, just in timeline-wise, this happens directly after Kara and B.
Right.
That's why the sisters weren't there, because they were out having to clean up the mess and stuff and do all that.
Yep.
Which makes it kind of interesting that she was showing up here, Sengoku, specifically for a party that the sisters weren't going to be necessarily a part of.
And the fact that it was like, happy birthday... when it was, you know, like August basically, or like very end of July,
just not
like
April,
but not April, you know. So it's like, okay, what's the reasoning for that? Is that because, like, did he disappear? Like, would April have been around the time of, like, when he met Shinobu or something, and he disappeared because he was a vampire at that time, or like I don't know exactly how the timeline works and everything, because I forget what Araragi's exact birthday is.
Yeah,
but what's the reason for this, and why is that something that was the focus of this episode, you know? Because this episode was shorter than even the others in Koyomi, I feel like.
Totally.
Oh.
Yeah, but the fact that it came after that, and this was something that was another instance of where we see how just in love with Araragi.
Oh, yeah.
That Sengoku is.
Yep. On his bed, in the house, alone. Like,
and
so like no one else is in the house.
Party with just party for one.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Yep.
Then when we shift things over to Kaiki, he ends up bringing up some things after Sengoku and Araragi kind of discuss what would be the actual best way to spread a rumor. And Kaiki brings up something rather interesting. The idea of the relationship between things that maybe are fast moving along the winds means that there are things that aren't moving fast along the wind, and then what kind of relationship as to what begets the other.
Right.
And then he's like, if you want to get into those deep questions, you might want to just look into the void and see, you know, what's going on with things there. And yeah, Yeah, investigating the darkness.
Right.
Okay.
Like, that part of it seems very relevant to Araragi's whole journey.
Mhm.
The rest of it seems almost too technical, you know, because it's talking about, okay, well, you got to get people that are like dissatisfied, and then also at a time when there isn't some other bigger rumor that will, you know, steal the spotlight, right? And I guess the whole idea of the being dissatisfied, that's when they'll more readily latch onto something,
Yes.
you know,
Yep.
even if it's a bit outlandish.
Right.
Okay, cool, yeah, I get that. And Araragi, you could say that he is or has been definitely dissatisfied, you know,
Right.
like, to say the least. So maybe there's some correlation there with his whole journey.
He wasn't affected by this.
No, right. I'm more thinking like thematically with all the crazy stuff that's been happening around Araragi.
Yeah, but let's also look at the stuff that's happening in the individual episode as well, because this was something where Kaiki went and did all this for pennies.
Right.
Like, remember when he came and did the whole scamming thing there, it wasn't really something where he was gaining a lot of financial stuff from this. After all, they're middle school girls, you know.
Right. It's not like they had a whole lot of money.
Right. So in a lot of ways, this was more about Senjugahara, as he, you know, kind of thought there for that brief instant where he was like, yeah, you did this all for middle school girls. And then there's the quick flash to Senjugahara's house. And he's like, yeah,
right.
Right, sure.
Definitely.
But I think that this idea of the chaos creating the void versus the chaos being born out of the void is rather interesting, because it's kind of like saying where there's smoke, there's a fire, but, you know, smoke doesn't cause the fire.
Right.
So in this case, Kaiki's kind of attributing himself and the effectiveness of what he did to being like the wind itself. He's not got the power of it or anything like that, but is like, no. There was already this darkness within the generation, so I naturally found my place here because I knew it would be effective. Like, I didn't have to maneuver a bunch of things, a bunch of coincidences into place in order to do it. It was way simpler than that. Yeah, it was opportunistic. So, like, do you feel like there's something with that is kind of telling with regards to the previous stuff that we had already known about this kind of section of the story?
I don't know, because, like, Kaiki, he comes across to me as, on the one hand, very measured and has a reason for what he does. And yet at the same time, on the surface at the very least,
right,
he also appears whimsical. Right,
because he's either constantly lying or
right, like, or never
lying.
You know, that whole thing.
Yeah.
But then as far as like this, I don't know, it doesn't feel like it gives me much better understanding of what happened back then, because that's just sort of like, that seems like something that could have just been sort of assumed, you know? And it's actually coming out and saying it of, well, yeah, middle school girls, they're you know, it was a lot easier to con them specifically, right? Like, okay, cool, yeah, awesome, yeah. That doesn't give me any new insight though, right? Like, it's just, yep, okay, seems about right. Okay, so then in the general sense of it, he's talking about the principle of those humans with a surplus in their, you know, in their lives or in their hearts or what have you, will find them to have a surplus of reasons as to not latch on to lies, to rumors, to charms, or whatever you call it. Right. So in some ways that feels kind of relevant, because a lot of the characters in this show have at times latched onto lies, specifically because it's easy and there's a void there to where something could fill it, you know? Yep. And because these things are just kind of floating around in the wind, it's easy to just go, oh, quick, I'll grab that and shove that in here. And if you don't have a lot of the truth in you, essentially, you don't have something to contradict the lie, basically. Then you're swayed easily, right? Yeah. And the way that I can see there being like connection to Araragi is that with the previous stuff that we've been getting with Ogi, and I might be like going a bit like harping too much on this, and maybe it's not trying to make that connection there, but Ogi is a force in Araragi that is swaying him, in different ways at different times, right?
Okay.
And at the beginning of this story, Araragi was very empty, right? He didn't have a surplus in his heart, right?
Okay.
He was in a bad place. Over the course of this story, we've seen him get lots of friends and things like that, and get quite full, right?
Yeah.
But there's still conflicts that need to be resolved, right? In a more absolute, final way, with regards to his internal state, how he looks at himself, his life, his future, all of that stuff, right? And that maybe this is something where it's getting along that general avenue of Araragi realizing just how full maybe he really is, but I'm not sure.
Or is it just a principle specifically to how to counteract lies and the chaos of the world is to basically fill your own void? Mm-hmm. I think that this episode kind of reads off in kind of, if you were to think of it as like a read, as like a little bit of a proverb.
Sure.
Chaos finds a void to fill and, bounce around and create its echoes.
Huh.
But if chaos doesn't find a void, it just moves on like the wind.
Sure.
In that respect, you can kind of, see it like an instrument. An instrument without any holes basically has no music for the wind to play, basically.
Right.
There's no way that the wind has anything to do with it there. So it just kind of blows around it and keeps going. But like, I don't have a hard line on this one or a hard read on it other than that, in that it feels like a pretty good principle with regards to things there that, seek the sources of the surplus. Basically, look into those relationships where you find that you have just this abundance coming out of it beyond what you're capable of, generating on your own. For people like Senjugahara, for instance.
Sure.
So, yeah, it's rather interesting.
I thought of something that might make the two halves of the episode feel more connected, other than just the fact that Kaiki specifically played a part in Sengoku's whole situation.
Sure.
The whole idea of the void and wanting to fill it and things like that. What did we have in the first half of the episode?
Sengoku showing up and being like, I shouldn't even be here. This is so nervous and I'm so excited and I'm getting to see Koyomi,
Yep. But there was, in a rather literal sense, a void at the house.
Oh, okay.
There wasn't anyone there. And of course, that then was something that Sengoku was, one, filling that void herself, but it also made her feel a bit more confident in her own situation and being here and, enjoying the moment with Araragi, right? I'm not entirely sure how intentional that is as a potential thematic tie of the two halves, right?
Sure.
But it could be.
Yeah. I see some potential for that. Yeah. What do you think the next episode's going to be, though? Because at this point, we've gone through, unless we're going to get into the Neko stuff, like, do we go back to Senjugahara?
Or do we go back to Hanakawa? Or do we go to
that would be
Shinobu?
the Neko stuff,
right. Yeah. I was thinking Neko, Kuro, and everything. But,
but that's,
but then there's
Hanakawa,
also... Right. But, also the Bake arcs and everything.
Yeah.
I think we could end up getting Shinobu because it started after Kizu, and there was the whole thing of Shinobu running away during the Bake arc, so maybe there would be a reason for there to be some little bit of conversation between the two of them.
Okay. You know what it might be? Is it's just the sisters, Tsukihiko or
Kara. Yeah.
Like that makes a lot of sense because it would be a natural tie-in from this episode.
We see a conversation after the whole toothbrush,
It's just Karen being like, just a that's it.
Although this is a good point, Oh boy. But since this is episode 5, right? And this was August, so that would have meant that the first one would have been
It's around August.
Or around August, right? Then it's probably going to continue linearly throughout this year, right? Which would make sense because if this is the show follows Aragi's last year in high school, so it'd start at the beginning of the school year.
Sure.
Then
okay,
what would have been around then?
We could get into some more stuff with Hachikuji.
Yeah,
and more stuff with Hanakawa.
Maybe Shinobu. A lot of stuff happened around that time.
Yeah. But it'll be fun to see. So y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there, and any level support gets you access to our Discord, where you can chat with us and the community there about this show, about anime in general, and you can also talk with Jacob about the sci-fi novel that he wrote.
Yep. Battle Lines. It's a sci-fi novel I wrote. It's pretty cool, and it's on Amazon. Link is in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.